Welcome to Escaping the Echo Chamber. The Brooklyn shooter, the alleged Brooklyn shooter, has been caught. And there were initial reports that he was caught because there was a guy nearby that had seen him on surveillance and said he then called the police. But later reports have suggested and indicated that actually the cops received a tip from their calling hotline from Frank James himself. Frank James apparently told them that he was in the area and that he had seen himself on the news and that they were looking for him and that they could come get him. He was taken into custody without any incident because they issued a complaint, an affidavit for his arrest. And so the indictment will be forthcoming. And I had said about the location of where the shooting occurred was interesting because that's where he will be going back to. The MDC Brooklyn, Metropolitan Detention Center of Brooklyn, which is the federal detention center, is where he will be headed. So while he is there, in fact, right now, he is most likely I'm sure he has been arraigned already. And because of the high profile nature of his case, I'm pretty sure they got him through receiving discharge, R&D already, fairly quickly. And he is most likely now on suicide watch because of, one, it's a high profile case. Two, he has a mental health history. And so they have to make sure that he's not dangerous, not dangerous to himself, not suicidal. So they're going to want to observe him for a little bit. Of course, throughout this period, mental health professionals, psychologists, psychiatrists will be coming to see him, determining, among other things, if he is on medication, what medication he needs right now. And he will most likely be being sent, instead of to general population, to the mental health unit in MDC Brooklyn. The interesting thing is, aside from where he will be housed, the procedures that are most likely next to happen with regards to his case is that his attorney, whether a public defender or a CGA appointment, will no doubt want to have him evaluated. First thing they will want to have him evaluated for is whether or not he is competent to stand trial. If they find that he is mentally incompetent to stand trial, that's a whole nother procedure. But let's first assume that he is found competent to stand trial. That does not mean that mental health is not on the table. That just means that he is now able to go to trial. Information that comes from his evaluation for competency will be somewhat relevant in determining what happens next. I'm guessing, and it just seems, from my perspective, that an insanity defense has got to be his most likely defense. Of course, I'm pretty sure his attorney will push to have him evaluated. And if the government doesn't agree, the government will have its own experts evaluate him to see whether or not an insanity defense is viable, whether or not he was insane at the time of the crime and therefore not criminally responsible. That is a process that will take some time, but there is a process that can take even longer. And now that's back to the competency issue. Because if it is determined that he is incompetent to stand trial, that now puts everything on hold. The speedy trial clock stops running, and now they have to determine whether or not he will ever stand trial. Just because they find him incompetent to stand trial does not mean, okay, no trial, he's done. What that then triggers is the evaluation to see if he can be restored to competency. And that takes time. So they will be conducting studies and a regimen to see if they can restore him to competency. They will have a lot of time to do that. And if at some point they determine that he can be restored to competence or that he has been restored to competence, they will then proceed to trial. If after all attempts to restore him to competency fail, then there's another procedure that takes place. But this is just the beginning. There's likely going to be a lot of things happening with this case. There's going to be a lot of attention on this case. And I don't think at the federal level, it's been quite some time when we've had a case that starts with this attention and that, in my prediction, will continue with the level of attention it has, especially regarding mental health defense. There's going to be constant attention on this case because of everything that transpired, from the seriousness of shooting people in a train car to the manhunt. This is a case that people's eyes are going to be on for quite some time, and I think it's going to turn out and proceed very differently than people are expecting it to. And yes, and feel free to let me know what your thoughts are on how this will proceed, what you think the outcome will be. Right? Feel free to share that in the comments below. And as always, don't forget to hit the thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time.